Greetings, everybody. This is Courtney Starhart, and I'm here today to talk to you about how to find a good ceremony. Wait, what even is a ceremony? Do any of you guys know? Because I know I didn't when I first started off doing this work and training. So, a lot of people are looking to work with plant medicine, and that is wonderful. I totally applaud that. But if you can possibly find yourself a legitimate traditional ceremony, you're going to have a totally amazing experience, and you're going to be in the hands of somebody who's been trained and who has a lot of tools and resources at their disposal. So, a ceremony is a type of formula that we use to put together a ritual, a bubble of light. It essentially gives people parameters for what's healthy and what's good and what works. And it puts up a certain kind of protection around the group of people who are working with the plant medicine. Oftentimes, a ceremony has several stages. It has more than one part to it. Our ceremonies here and the formula that I was taught by my Pueblo teacher has four stages. So we say greetings and we all pass around the talking stick. We all have the opportunity to actually say something and talk to each other, get to know each other. We each greet whatever we want to greet. So if you want to call in Excel, or if you want to call in Krishna, or if you want to call in Jesus, it's all good. So we call in our ancestors, we call in our higher powers. I call in the quarters, the east, south, west, and north, and that is stage one. Stage two is where we start to talk about our work. That's the south. The first one is east, second one is south, going around the medicine wheel. Okay. So then we talk about what kind of work we're there to do. We talk about specifically our physical life, how we want to improve things, and the things that matter to us the very most. Okay. So we talk transparently and openly about why we're working with plant medicine. And most people have a lot in common when it comes to that. People are looking for healing, people are looking for insight, people are looking to step up their game or feel more connected. Sometimes it's for physical healing purposes too, where people have an illness and they're able to come and work with medicine and heal things on an energetic and physical level. So that's stage two. Stage three, we make our prayers. Before we work with any plant medicine, we are going to write down in our journals, we're going to say out loud to each other, and we're going to declare to the universe what our prayers are. Now, the plant medicine will always give you what you need. It won't always give you what you want. And I hope you understand the definition between those two things, that if we're making a prayer, let's say to be more spiritually conscious, then what that can amount to is a lot of obstacles being overcome psychologically or what have you, that may feel like kind of a bumpy road. But at the end of the day, grandmother, the medicine, she knows exactly what we need in order to get to where we want to be and where she also thinks we need to be. Because, the truth is, the medicine does have her own agenda to a certain degree. Luckily, the agenda that grandmother has is one of peace and consciousness and unity. And obviously, she wants the planet to go on in a healthy way. And she wants us to be connected to her and to Creator and to the earth. So that's Grandma's agenda, and she's always nudging us closer and closer to that, especially because consciousness usually means that we recognize that we're all connected. Okay, so the final stage is stage four, which is the north. That's where we say thank you as if everything that we need is already happening. That's kind of the magic sauce, is gratitude. The most powerful universe, the most powerful feeling in the universe is gratitude. And right next door to it is love and appreciation and respect. So here we are. Those are the four directions. When we get done doing those in the ceremony, we take the medicine. Um, every different person has their own toolkit in terms of shamanism and how we run ceremony. And that's great. That's the way it should be. Everybody should be different. And it's beautiful that we are. But there should be a ceremonial formula that somebody uses. And you should be able to ask them why they do that or who they got it from. If you want to find a good ceremony, ask people a lot of questions about how they were trained, who they were trained with. You can ask them where they get their medicine. Okay, that should be a fairly straightforward answer. Um, it would be nice if people all had a support network. For us, once we're done with ceremony, we're not really actually done. There are a lot of classes and Zoom calls and training that happens before we go into ceremony. And then after, we also have Zoom calls every week. And we have clubs and we have other events. And, typically people swap phone numbers and they get to know each other and support one another. That's part of what I teach people is that you need to learn to be family. You need to learn to care about one another and take care of each other because that's what we're here about, to enjoy life and to support one another. And it's a profound part of healing. People need to process after ceremony, and it's really important for there to be tools that you guys have access to be able to do that. Medicine is a really special thing, and especially grandmother ayahuasca speaks a certain language. And for those of us who've worked with the medicine pretty extensively, you get familiar with her stories and her vocabulary and her tendencies and the way things work in the spirit world. So it's really nice that I can support you guys, but I also want to be able to teach you so that you can support one another. So, another big thing about ceremony that's really important is safety. And also, how many people are going to be there and who are they? Have they been qualified, pre qualified? Has anyone done a criminal background check on them? I mean, when we were working with a different church than we're working with right now, which is the Church of the Natural Law, and then that's ours, we were working with somebody else's church, and they would send us people who were violent criminals for recent releases and people maybe who weren't far enough along in their healing process to be able to be a positive part of ceremony. I tell this story and I hope it's amusing about we're making stew. Now that's allegorical. When you come to ceremony, you're bringing your own personal flavor to this plant medicine ceremony. And because we're creating a unity consciousness, that flavor that each person brings gets in the entire stew. So let's say that one guy brings potatoes and one girl brings celery, and I bring some tofu, and we have all these wonderful ingredients, right? And then there's a 10th fairy who comes in, or 13th fairy comes in, and they have something that's rotten. Or they're an angry person and they sabotage it by throwing a turd in the stew. Like, that's a really extreme example, but it gets the point across because one little turd in that stew and all of it is poopy stew. You don't want to be sitting in ceremony with people who are going to be disruptive or who are going to not accept responsibility for their stuff. So that's why we pre qualify and we train people. We also have an opportunity to get to know them for at least 2 or 3 weeks as they're preparing for ceremony. So I highly recommend that you guys start asking those questions. What kind of support? What kind of environment? Have you screened people? Who'd you train with? Where are you getting your medicine? And what's your ceremonial formula like? Because you want that. All right. So hopefully I have answered the question about how to find a good ceremony, what a ceremony is. Lots of love and blessings to y'all. I look forward to working with everybody and getting to know all these beautiful new people coming in. Our next ceremony is already almost full. So, a person who has good ceremonies is probably going to be full a little while in advance. So you also want to take your time, do your research, get to know some people, and get on somebody's waiting list and start training. Okay. All right. Well, bye for now, everybody.